Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz coming to you from the digital desk at Alaska's News Source. Our top story, the city of Fairbanks is finally catching a break from the extreme cold while frigid. It's finally seen a bit of a warm up after the coldest December since 1980. Alex Bangle shows us what the city's been able to do since the temperatures have risen.
Things have warmed up in Fairbanks over the last day. Temperatures from 40 below what we've been seeing, finally giving way to a high of 12 below today. Now this marks the long-awaited end to a cold snap that has hit the interior for the last few weeks, one that caused cars to fail to start, home heating systems to fail, activities to be canceled, and at times a fog to settle across the interior that was difficult to navigate. With the warmer weather comes a return in certain city services that were suspended as a result of the cold, including snow removal and trash removal. These were suspended due to the risk to equipment and to the people working.
Hopefully this week we can catch everything back up, and next week will be service as normal. The snow crews have started with plowing neighborhoods and smoothing up roads, and we hope to resume collection of snow tomorrow.
When we pick up a bag, a lot of the times when it's cold like this, that whole top will rip right off. So the guys have to grab it from the bottom and the top and prevent that from happening to not make a mess.
Sheen asks that members of the community please bag up their trash to keep it tidy and cover it to keep it away from the ravens, who will strew it all about the road if they see it. Fairbanks is expecting more warm weather and even some snow in the coming days. As you can see, there is some snow here right now. But how long this warm snap will last is anybody's guess. Alex Bengal, Alaska's News Source.
And that cold weather is warming up in Fairbanks just a little bit, but it's still a first alert weather day. We're gonna head on over to meteorologist Aaron Morrison, who's gonna give us a breakdown over what our day is going to look like. Aaron. Okay, thank you so much, Aaron.
Things have warmed.
And with dangerously cold weather gripping Anchorage, new data reveals a staggering toll. In updated numbers for 2025, Anchorage police say 45 people died outdoors in the municipality last year. While slightly down from the 50 recorded in both 2025 and 2024, that number is still nearly double what the city saw just a few years ago. The 32 of the dead were men, 13 were women. The oldest was 66 years old, the youngest just 25. And in a surprising twist, the deadliest month was not the coldest. June saw 7 outdoor deaths, with August and September close behind. And right now, city officials say they are working to keep people experiencing homelessness safe during Anchorage's frigid cold. This year, the city did not open a traditional warming center. Instead, it added emergency beds to its year-round shelters. A special assistant to the mayor says they've also changed the policy at the Anchorage Safety Center so that anyone who wants can use the building to get warm.
In the past, it's only been available to people who were involuntary. So you had to be under an emergency title to go there. Over this year, we've broadened that, so now people can be there voluntarily. So if they need a safe place to go, they can go there.
Last week, the city opened a temporary warming center in the downtown bus depot where people can spend the night. Right now, that is scheduled to close on Wednesday. Meantime, in Juneau, schools are closed again today as the borough faces collapsed roofs, including a local dojo forced to relocate and 8 boats sunk in the harbor, all following record snow. At the harbor, crews have been working around the clock, but several of the largest vessels are still underwater. Meantime, the dojo, which operates as a nonprofit, is hoping to launch a GoFundMe to help cover costs for temporary relocation. The owner expects they'll get back into their original space in about a year.
You know, we have a whole bunch of kids that walk to school in Juneau, and there's no sidewalks or anything. And the snow is 6 feet deep on either side of the road, and you can't see around corners and stop signs. It's not a real safe situation now.
Most of our roof collapsed, and it collapsed inward, so all that snow and then roof structure came into the dojo, and so there's workers, I guess, removing all that.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. We are having a little bit of some audio issues, but bear with us. We are working through them as we figure out what is going on. Our next story, a new city ordinance is now in effect in Anchorage aimed at protecting tenants. Augusta McDonald breaks down what this means for both landlords and renters and why assembly members say it will incentivize safer housing.
Assembly approved the new ordinance with a 10-to-1 vote in late October.
We require the landlord to pay those costs.
Assembly member Zach Johnson co-sponsored the measure and says the ordinance is meant to help incentivize property owners to repair code violations.
In those rare circumstances where tenants are forced to relocate because the building is not safe for habitation, this provides them assistance to go find another place. 2 months rent plus any prepaid rent and deposits, right? So that they have the means to go out and find somewhere else to live.
The change means property owners will have to pay tenants if their rental has code violations that will not be repaired.
I've seen some of the comments that have been submitted from other landlords saying, we don't want more rules on us, we don't want all these burdens. And I think if you get to this point, you've done something really wrong as a landlord.
Property owner and manager Widener Apartments owns a large share of the rental properties in Anchorage. In response to the new ordinance, spokespeople say in part, as such, we don't anticipate any challenges exceeding the standards that Ordinance 2025-93S establishes, and will work with the city to provide real-world input as we navigate the new policy in the future. Assemblymember Johnson said as of late December, the new ordinance had not been put to use by city code enforcement. Augusta McDonnell, Alaska's news source.
You can find a detailed breakdown of the ordinance on our website and on our news app. And maybe you've sought out a loan for a house and got denied, and you are not alone. A new report from NerdWallet found that 8% of Americans applying for a mortgage were actually denied. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa finds out the most common reasons they were denied and what you can do to prevent this in the future.
While 8% of mortgages being denied in 2024, the most recent data, is a relatively small number, it's also been hovering around that for the last 6 years. Kate Wood is a lending expert with NerdWallet. She says she's seen a lot of these denials coming up during the actual buying process pretty late in the game. And the most common reason cited for a mortgage application being denied was buyers having a debt-to-income ratio that was just too high. She speculates this is happening because home prices have increased dramatically for several years.
Competition hasn't abated as much as we would expect in many parts of the country. So people could be getting into situations where they're going back and forth, bidding up to get their offer accepted on the home. And when they do, they reach a point where their budget is going to be too strained from a lender's perspective to afford that home.
Wood says mortgage application denial does not mean this is the end of the road for you. She says always get pre-approved at the beginning of the process so you know how much money you are working with.
You also could potentially aim to make a larger down payment. So if you're looking at your target home price, trying to aim for a higher percentage of that. That will both reduce the amount of the loan, how much you're borrowing, and it will also potentially lower your debt-to-income ratio.
Wood says the median down payment for first-time home buyers in 2025 was about 10%. Having a trusted real estate agent can also help, so you can really target homes in the right price range for you. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
New data from Cox Automotive shows car repossessions are up 43% between 2022 and 2024. In this Watching Your Wallet, Rachel DePompa looks at this latest trend.
While 8% of mortgages this is a drastic increase. An estimated 3.2 million cars were repossessed between 2023 and 2024, the most recent data available. Shannon Martin, an insurance expert with Bankrate, says part of the reason for the spike in repossessions has to do with how expensive new vehicles and even used vehicles have become. The average payment for a new car is $700 a month, and the average for a used car is $500 a month.
But then you put on top of that the cost to maintain that vehicle. We call that the hidden cost of car ownership. That's another over $500 a month. So Americans are really spending a lot of money, not just to buy a car, but to maintain their vehicles and keep their cars.
If you're dealing with a car repossession, Martin says don't panic and don't let embarrassment overwhelm you and stop you from taking action.
This is when you need to spring into action. First, take care of all the most important things. Can you set up ways for you to get to and from work for the next week? Do your kids have a way to get to and from school? Take care of those things first. And then you want to see what can you do to move forward. You'll need to get in touch with your agent. That's probably the second most important step.
Martin says also handle your license plate and taxes. It's often an overlooked step. Check your state's requirements for surrendering a license plate. Failure to do so may cost you more money in fines, maybe even a license suspension. If you have to pay a property tax on the vehicle, make sure you notify your locality so you don't get hit with a full tax bill later in the year. And then you want to rebuild your credit, which can take a hit. A credit counselor can help you create a financial plan so you can afford monthly payments again in the future. With this watch in your wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
The CDC announced it is updating its childhood immunization schedule to recommend fewer vaccines, despite the opposition of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Under the new guidelines, the CDC will continue to recommend vaccines for 10 diseases, including measles, mumps, rubella, and chickenpox. Other vaccines will be recommended for high-risk groups, and immunizations for certain diseases such as the flu and rotavirus will now fall under shared decision-making between parents and healthcare providers.
This is not a safety question. These vaccines are safe. One of the concerns I have here is that when they say some of these vaccines would be more strongly recommended for an infant or child who's high risk, very often we don't even realize someone is high risk until they develop a severe infection that can lead to hospitalization and death. And do we really want to wait for those infections to occur?
Health and Human Services officials said insurance providers will continue to cover the cost of these vaccines no matter which category they are in. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting is closing its doors on Monday. The CBP's board of directors announced it voted in favor of dissolving the organization following Congress's decision to end its federal financial backing. CBP's officials considered placing itself in hibernation just in case Congress decided to restore its appropriations. However, that move was rejected, according to the CBP's president and CEO, who said doing so could create, quote, political manipulation or misuse. CBP made its debut in 1968 and funded PBS, NPR, and hundreds of radio and TV stations across the nation over the decades. From the president of Ukraine to current U.S. senators, deep fake copies of well-known politicians are becoming increasingly common, and there's real concern that they could impact elections. So who's stepping in to police fake humans? Senior national investigative reporter Josie Sternan takes a look at state-by-state attempts to regulate political AI as the Trump administration calls for a rollback of what it calls cumbersome state laws.
We've heard it over and over again. Seeing is believing. But in the age of artificial intelligence, can you really believe what you see? Not always computer-generated meat, because AI keeps getting better and better at making fake versions of real people. So experts tell us this is where we have to draw the line before imposter humans do serious harm to our democracy. Wow.
The danger of what I call fake AI people or counterfeit people is really big.
Jeremy Carrasco is a genuine, very real person with very real concerns about the future of artificial intelligence.
If it gains the ability to make a perfectly undetectable human in video form, it becomes incredibly powerful.
AI is already getting extremely close. Human deepfakes are all over the internet, with people's voices and faces replicated so well it can be hard to tell what's real. That's where Jeremy comes in.
I feel a responsibility because I can see the differences and not everyone can.
People send me videos all the time.
And so this former piano teacher is now playing social media educator.
The tells like the frame rate and the light and the movement are red flags for me.
He's using his skills as an encoding engineer to school the masses on TikTok.
With AI video this good and simple, how do you figure it out?
Racking up high view counts as he breaks down the fine details of videos that blur the lines of reality and spark debate.
A lot of this is something that anyone can spot given the right practice, essentially.
But as AI advances, it's getting harder to keep up.
Just like counterfeit money was illegal when money was invented, now we have this new influx of counterfeit humans flooding the zone. And what happens when there's counterfeit money is people have to look at every $20 bill. Like, that's not something we can do.
And let's be honest, that's not something everyone wants to do, which could create problems when it comes to politics. Given the country's deep divide, experts say many people deliberately choose to believe what they see.
People want to assume the worst thing about opponents, and so if you see a negative image of a Joe Biden or a Donald Trump, and if you agree with that message, you're going to accept that as a statement of fact, even if it's fake.
Daryl West is an author and researcher with the Brookings Institution in D.C. For years, he's been looking at the connections between AI, disinformation, and democracy.
Our democracy cannot survive unless we deal with this issue.
West says tech companies could deal with it by being more serious about content moderation, pulling down deepfakes, especially because of their potential impact on voters and elections. Right now, though, no one's making them.
There are a number of things that policymakers could do. It's just nationally, we haven't done any of those things.
Congressional leaders have tried. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar, a victim of a recent deepfake with vulgar descriptions about an actress that went viral, has co-sponsored bills trying to put up guardrails that would help curb AI deception. One of her proposals would require disclaimers on political ads generated with substantial help from AI to alter images, video, and audio, giving voters a reality check.
When it comes to these fake political videos, the fact that we're not even passing something that says digitally altered for the ones that are constitutionally would be protected.
Right now, that protection is piecemeal and largely depends on where you live. Our national investigative team looked at regulations nationwide, finding at least a dozen states have already passed AI disclosure laws related to political candidates. Some include specific rules for language, saying the content has been manipulated, altered, or generated by AI. Requirements that wording be a certain size or lay directly over top of a deepfake. Regulations that ban dissemination of AI content for specific time periods before and after elections. And some even give candidates depicted without a disclaimer the option to seek damages.
So this is a good example of a meme account that's using AI, and every single post is a press conference.
With real people.
With real people.
Jeremy Carrasco is doing his part to help them, but he's not trying to sway voters or even say definitively when something is a deepfake. He just wants the audience to have the skills to figure it out themselves.
A milestone for a community's fixture in the interior. The Fairbanks Children's Museum is celebrating 15 years, serving as a vital indoor escape for families during Alaska's harshest winters. The facility serves as more than just a playground. It is a specialized hub for early childhood development and social connection. To secure its future, the nonprofit is launching the Imagination Investors Program. It seeks monthly donors to help bridge a critical funding gap.
So we're asking people to donate $15 a month so we can go another 15 years in Fairbanks. We are calling our sustaining donors Imagination Investors.
Leaders say these donations are essential to paying staff and maintaining daily programs that range from science experiments to life skills. If you want to know more about becoming a sustaining donor, visit their website at fairbankschildrensmuseum.com. And the Consumer Electronics Show officially begins in Las Vegas today. But some companies have already unveiled their new innovations. Lego gave a sneak peek at its new smart play surface with smart bricks, tags, and smart figures meant for interactive play. Hyundai-owned Boston Dynamics and LG showed off their latest humanoid robots. NVIDIA also brought out its new tiny robots as its CEO played up the company's next generation chips and announced that its AI technology is taking on autonomous driving systems. Novo Nordisk is launching its once-daily Wegovy pill in the U.S. The Danish drug maker is now offering 1.5 milligram and 4 mg doses of the weight loss drug, starting at $149 per month for self-paying patients. The pill was approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration last month. The treatment offers more flexibility and an alternative for those who dislike needles used in injectable weight loss medication. The U.S. Postal Service will be issuing a new stamp in time for African American History Month. The 49th stamp in the Black Heritage series honors Phyllis Wheatley. Wheatley was transported to the U.S. as a slave, but the Boston household where she worked educated her. In 1773, she published her book, Poems on Various Subjects, Religious and Moral. She was only 20 years old at the time and was freed the same year. Her legacy earned her the title Mother of African American Literature. The Forever Stamp releases January 29th. And this rescue donkey in Georgia is said to be a Guinness World Record holder. Hope's owner, Hannah Frost, took her to a vet to get checked out, and the doctor noticed her extremely long ears, as you can tell from these images, these videos that we're getting right now. The ears measuring just under 14 inches long, and she lives in the UK. The vet measured Hope's ears and they were nearly 16 inches long, which should be in the Guinness World Record. Hope's owner still has some paperwork to do before Guinness makes it official, but she's looking forward to Hope winning the title. And happy birthday to Wheel of Fortune. The popular game show premiered on January 6, 1975 on NBC, making it 51. It was created by TV legend Merv Griffin. Pat Sajak and Vanna White began hosting it in the early 1980s and became some of the most popular hosts in the history of game shows. The show went on to become one of the longest-running syndicated game shows in American TV history and one of the most popular TV shows in the world. The show has aired more than 6,500 episodes. A World War II veteran in Castroville, Texas, celebrated his 101st birthday on December 30th by returning to the skies in the same type of aircraft that he flew over 80 years ago. This footage was captured by Dream Flights, who said that the aviator B.L. Craighead Jr. celebrated his milestone birthday by soaring 1,000 feet in the air. The aircraft, a 1940 Stearman biplane, was used to train military aviators during World War II. Dream Flights is a nonprofit organization which provides senior veterans the chance to ride in an open-air flight in the cockpit of a World War II era biplane. Well, he must have really have been thrown back in time and really went back to World War II, to that training, to flying on those planes. What a way to spend your 101st birthday. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra for this Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for joining me and for starting off your day with Alaska's news source. You'll see us next with the news at noon. Have a wonderful day.